Sir John Roberts, the provost's son from Selkirk, who helped establish a family business empire circling the globe, and along the way became Dunedin's richest man.
John Roberts belongs to a second wave of Scottish arrivals in Otago in the 1860s, many of whom came with much more ambitious aspirations than their predecessors of the 1840s. Roberts stands out in this regard. He was born here in Selkirk, the fourth son of Alexander Roberts, who owned these mills and was Lord Provost of the town, the Scottish equivalent of Mayor. They lived here in Hermitage House before building a grander mansion that they call Wellwood Park. John went to school first in the local parish school before being sent to board in leading schools in England and Edinburgh. He then went to work in the family business.
In 1864, he was dispatched to Australia to gain experience in the wool trade under a relative, John Sanderson, who had sheep stations and a wool-broking business in Victoria. Sanderson, Murray & Co. also owned a fellmongery in Dunedin. In 1868, John was sent across from Melbourne to manage it. He was just 23, but had already garnered extensive experience in the wool business and had the considerable resources of his extended family behind him. Almost immediately, he set up an offshoot company, Murray Roberts & Co. This quickly developed into a lucrative enterprise with branches all over New Zealand, making its money as stock and station agents, wool merchants and general importers. Its headquarters were here in Liverpool Street. By 1900, it was the second largest exporter of wool from New Zealand, owning large sheep runs on the Strathtyre near Middlemarch.
Back in Selkirk, the Roberts Mills had pioneered the importation of Australian and New Zealand wool to the Scottish borders, a trade that would endure for generations. The family had created a transnational business network that stretched from Scotland to London to Australia and New Zealand. John Roberts epitomises this combination of Scottish capital and New Zealand opportunity.
Roberts was a great believer in diversification. He spread his personal interests widely in pastoralism, manufacturing and agency work. He also encouraged the development of a wide range of Dunedin companies and was one of the founders of the Mosgiel Woolen Factory in 1873 and the New Zealand Refrigerating Company to promote refrigerated meat exports in 1881. Roberts served on many local bodies and was elected Mayor of Dunedin in 1889 and was president and the guiding force behind that year's New Zealand and South Seas exhibition. His wide-ranging business and community contributions earned him a knighthood in 1891. In 1932, he received the Freedom of Selkirk. He was greatly respected as a canny businessman and a major contributor to the life of Dunedin. Roberts married Louisa Kettle in 1870. She was the daughter of Dunedin's original surveyor and town planner, Charles Kettle. They had a large family together, 5 sons and 4 daughters surviving to adulthood. John and Louisa were dedicated members of the Presbyterian and Anglican churches respectively. Out of respect for each other's religious traditions, they had alternate children adopt one or the other of these denominational allegiances and accompany the relevant parent to Knox Church or St Paul's Cathedral accordingly. In 1890, they built a magnificent mansion, Littlebourne House. On this site overlooking central Dunedin and modelled on his father's mansion, Wellwood Park in Selkirk. When Sir John Roberts died in 1934, he was the richest man in Dunedin. After his death, Littlebourne was gifted to the city of Dunedin, but was subsequently demolished to make way for the extension of Stewart Street. The grounds were turned into these playing fields, Roberts Park.
Had Littlebourne House been preserved, it would have been on a par with Ulverston or Larnox Castle and a perfect symbol of that era when Dunedin's merchant princes, with John Roberts preeminent amongst them, led New Zealand's commercial affairs. Two of his sons followed the same career path, and both of them were also knighted. To finish our story, we'll focus on the eldest son, also named John. Born in 1876, he was educated at Otago Boys High School before being sent back to Edinburgh for his final schooling. Returning to Dunedin, he was set to work at the Mosgiel Woolen Mill and worked in every department, learning the business from the bottom up. Then in 1896, as a 20-year-old, he was sent back here to Selkirk to work in the family business. Well, he spent the rest of his life here, living in his grandfather's old house and becoming a leading figure in the Scottish wool industry. He was elected Lord Provost of Selkirk on 3 occasions and knighted in 1953. He died here in 1966, just over 100 years after his father had first left Selkirk to go to Australia.